technical issues this morning. So can I welcome everybody to today's Cabinet meeting, and also to all the management team and people who've joined us online. So apologies for absence have been received from Councillor Paul Brandt and also from one of our officers, Chris Lomas. Any declarations of interest? None have been declared, so I take it there are no other issues. So we have on the agenda the minutes for the last meeting, which is item 2. I guess if nobody offers any issues relating to the minutes or updates or notes for correction, then we'll agree those minutes. Okay, nobody has, so I take it those minutes are agreed then. Okay, item number 3 on the agenda is Mayoral Reports that are not to be considered today. Item number 4 is the Mayoral Recommendations, and there's one public recommendation to be dealt with today, and this seeks our approval to accept an extra 386,000 funded from the Department for Work and Pensions under the ESF programme. It's the Ways to Work programme. Barbara, I don't know whether you want to make any comments on this or... Barbara, could you hear me? And if you have...
Sorry.
I don't know if you want to make any comments on this.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. We haven't really got clarity about the European funding going forward, but this is really welcome, as is all additional funding. The Ways to Work is a very successful scheme, and it's one that we really need at this point in time. So welcome news. Thank you. Okay,
so thanks for that, Barbara. So if we can agree that recommendation as set out in the report then to accept this extra additional funding, can we agree that recommendation? Obviously, no disagreements I can see around your rooms there, so that's fine. So we accept that recommendation. There's a supplementary agenda which we now have this report to consider. It was published yesterday as a supplementary, and it relates to accepting additional funding from government as part of our ongoing response to COVID-19. In light of the agency, we've discussed this with the chair of the relevant select committees being consulted. So we will now consider the report. As I said, it seeks an approval to accept a grant from DWP of 2.4 million. It'll help us support those most in need. So, Linny, you want to make any comments about this? Obviously, any funding is welcome. You're muted, Lynn. You're muted.
No,
you are muted.
Exactly. Any funding at all is welcome at the moment, isn't it? So it's a massive boost, and all well done to the officers for actually making sure that our families and stuff can access it.
Okay, well, it's certainly for me when we stepped into the breach when the government were adamant that they wouldn't change their mind in relation to the free school meals vouchers, and we were the first to say, well, we were going ahead and paying it, and obviously the pressure that Marcus Rashford and a lot of people put on the government made that they changed their mind. So we've got a challenge and a job on to make sure that leading up to Christmas that we support and help as many families as we can. This will enable us to do some of those things to make sure that people have got heating, especially larger households as well, but looking after children, and especially those that are claiming benefits, to make sure that they can heat and eat their families and their properties. So we'll be working with other people. So what I would suggest, Linny, is that the Director for Children's Services and yourself and me meet with my office to look at what we're doing and how we're rolling out, and maybe Barbara could join us as well to look at how we, and Liz, I guess, and Wendy, to look at how we are going to help leading up to the Christmas. And I know we've got a discussion and a debate around budget issues and stuff after this meeting, so maybe we can add that onto the agenda so we can prepare ourselves to help people. Yes, Linny?
Yeah, Joe,
Suzanne, who's actually been working on it, is also going to be working. Maybe we invite Councillor Corbett to the meeting as well, because obviously Jane's been doing a lot of that work, so we can all meet together.
Okay, well, I'll decide who's going to attend, and we'll discuss it after this meeting anyway. Okay, so can we agree that recommendation, please, as set out in that report, just accepting that funding? Okay, that's great. So we move on to the next item, which is it's partially exempt, this report, and it's to again look at receiving some funding, but it's only the appendix of this report that it is, if you like, exempt. So if nobody's got any questions on that part or portion of the report, then I'll deal with it anyway. So basically, if that's the case, and I can't see anybody indicating that they want to speak on that part of it, we'll move to the main report then, which is, I said, item 3A, which seeks approval to accept from Homes England a 6 million total grant fund, which represents the biggest single investment in homeless services in Liverpool, and it's a great opportunity to continue our transformational journey, basically, continuing what we do, that is provide and secure accommodation for all of those that are at risk of rough sleeping and homelessness. And it's going to get to be delivered by the 31st of March. It builds on, our ambitious programme, which I think is as good as anywhere in the country, if not better, in terms of what we've done to support homeless people and people struggling. So Paul's not here this morning, but for me, as I said, I think Martin Farron and the team have been, and the whole team have been playing a really great role in this, and so we accept the grant, and we look forward to making sure that we roll it out, and maybe when Paul's here we can discuss it a little bit further at the next cabinet meeting, but certainly at our away day. But it is good news, and I think, as I said, building on what we've done with Labouré House, but also about how we've responded, and we're creating accommodation, 1-bedroom accommodation, to make sure that nobody needs to be sleeping on our streets. I think it's good news. It's additional support for us and very welcome. So can we agree that recommendations within that report, please? Okay, there are no items for item 5 and 6, so we move on to item 7, which is our usual updates from the Chief Financial Officer, and the first one is month 6 of the Revenue Monitor. So this is, as you know, just an update for us in terms of where we are within the current financial year. Mel, do you want to make any comments or give us some sort of short verbal update on this?
Sure. It reflects the funding that we received from government, so the last tranche COVID funding of 19 million. We've assessed the further costs to the council of the Tier 3 lockdown and the November lockdown, leaving us with an £8.9 million overspend, which is a reduction of 6.7 million on the last monitor at month 5. Okay,
but that's a sort of move and feast, isn't it? And I won't say too much about that, but there's a bit of a debate and a discussion going on with Treasury around the tranche of Tier 3 funding. So we'll update you on that when we get some more actuals and factuals about that, and after I've spoke to the Chief Executive about where we are with that. But it was discussed at the CA yesterday with other local authority leaders. So that figure may well move, Mel, but it's good to know that that's where we are. It's not good that we've got still to find that, but it's good to know that we've reduced it as well. So can we note that and agree the recommendations set out in that month 6 financial monitoring report, please? Okay, so if we move on then to B, and again, Mel, just to give us an update really, this is the capital programme monitor, again, as I say, month 6 of the current financial year. So, Mel, have you got any comments on this?
It's the usual monitoring report that reflects the reports that have been through Cabinet or any delegated authorities that have happened. What it does reflect, the two biggest areas are the removal of the Southern Link road scheme due to delays in purchasing land, but also we need to secure some alternative funding now, which we're working hard with the CA on. It also includes rephasing of some of the other schemes, including the accommodation project, mainly due to the impact of COVID-19.
Okay, so with those comments then, and the report sets out and explains some of that as well. So can we agree the recommendations and updates as set out in the report? Okay, well, we have no reports on item 8, agenda item 8 to consider. And so it's just really, comments from me. There's no sort of announcements to make it other than comments, really. I think it's 2 weeks today at midday that we'll have had the our mass testing centres up and running. So I think, at the close of play yesterday at 12 o'clock, which is when we measured it up to, I think there was around about 145,000 people that had been tested using both the PCR and lateral flow. So I think it's quite remarkable, really, that we are in the situation where that many people have been tested. Of course, I think, I'd like more, as I said yesterday, we'd like more people. And I think, we've got a job on our hands, which we're looking at next week, about how to try to engage those people that aren't engaging with the mass testing, and whether, it's clear to us that a lot of these areas where people aren't are some of the poorest areas as well, potentially where English language is second language to people in many households. So we're going to be working over the next week to 10 days, making sure that we get into those communities, knock on doors in the same way that we did at Princes Park. We worked together with the voluntary sector, with the residents organisations and people and volunteers within the area and our own staff to do that, so that we can try and drive things up. Of course, when people talk about, and it's interesting, I was on talking to a constituency meeting last night in North Liverpool, Walton, and a couple of things were raised with me about signage and better signage, and people in Sefton Park, but also around Walton Park, were walking past the centres and not knowing they were there. So I think there's something that possibly we could do over the next few days, see if we can get better signage. But, it's still clear that we've got a job to do in communicating to people what it means for our city, because there were still people talking to me last night about concerns about harvesting DNA. And, whilst I pointed out to them that lots and lots of people want to harvest Scousers DNA, at this juncture with COVID-19, that's not the case. And that, it's the stuff of science fiction because it's not happening. Somebody else complained about Serco having the telephone number. And I said, well, how else are they going to text you the results of the test if they haven't got your telephone number? So, we've got a bit to go in terms of convincing people and still pushing on that. But we have got another 2 weeks to go, so we'll make the most of that. Of course, we are now starting to going to start reducing the numbers of centres in the city. So we'll end up with a number of the PCR centres that we've always had, but some testing centres that are spread across the city. Now, Matt Ashton and Tony Reeves and the team are working to look at those sites together with myself and you as ward councillors to look at where we can actually set those testing centres up to maximise the impact and get as many people. So I think we're still very much determined to make mass testing work. We'll be running, as I said, our own testing centres, and that'll probably take us through to early spring, certainly to March next year, and then we'll look at what happens beyond that. But as I said, we've got to really start trying to encourage people and get people to take up this opportunity. And I think just for me, thanks for our media partners as well for championing this, but also for rightly criticising those that are talking about the non-existence of this virus, the deniers, those that are actually going out there and spreading the virus by not following the rules and the guidance. And I think all credit to them for doing that. And in particular, the Echo and Radio Merseyside, who've done a great job in doing that. And we've been giving them regular updates as well. But I think it's just important that, we recognise the likes of the work that Colleen Martin and her team have been doing, the Chief Executive, his team, Matt Ashton. But all of our partners together have really done a fantastic job. I couldn't be more proud of the efforts and the team work and the team approach that they've put in. I don't think any city could have done what we've done, and I mean that. That's not just me, being a parochial, passionate granddad of Liverpool. I'm saying that because I don't believe for 1 minute that anybody could have put in the effort that we've done, worked with the government who let's be clear, we're not the best of friends with and never will be, but working with them and delivering this. I think all credit to everybody who's been involved. And I think it's also, this is the 5th week since we've been in Tier 3, and it's absolutely clear that both Tier 3 and the mass testing are having an impact now with national lockdown. No question of that. And if you look at it, less than 4 weeks ago, we had an infection rate of around about 680, I think, in 100,000. And today I think it's down to around about 240 or just below that. And that's despite the number of people that are infected. So I think it's an amazing and promising sort of turnaround in that, and we've got to do so more. And when we look at the number of people that we've identified through the PCR, but also through the lateral flow testing, it means that those people aren't out and about in our streets and actually spreading the virus. So I think from our point of view, it's been a success, no matter what any of the naysayers say, whether it's academics or whatever. We see a number of public health officials. I'll use the word officials loosely, but public health speakers who are talking about the inadequacies of this. But the reality is that we can demonstrate quite clearly that if we've asked people to self-isolate who would be spreading the virus, then jobs are good and it's working. And I think we all recognise how proud we are of our Public Health Director, Matt Ashton, and I'd rather have him than the woman from Newcastle University, Mrs. Pollock, her name was, who's been making pronouncements and comments. We'd much rather have Matt Ashton, who's leading our team along with the council's representatives. So that's it really, just for me, just to congratulate them and to say things. I don't know whether Matt or the Chief Executive want to make any comments on where we are today or on the comments that I've just made. Tony?
Yeah, Joe, just to reinforce that, massive team effort from the whole of Liverpool, led by you and the council, and great input from members as well. But people in Liverpool responded really, really positively. We knew that it wouldn't be perfect because we're piloting this. It's the first time it's been done, but it puts Liverpool in a much stronger position going forwards. And I just think it's done the city proud. I really do. And the staff have been absolutely magnificent, but so have all our partners as well.
Good. Thank you. Matt, I don't know whether Matt is with us. Is it? Yeah, Matt, do you want to make any comments?
Morning, Joe. Thank you very much for your very kind comments. I want to say thank you to yourself, Mayor, for leading this, and for political cabinet and all our councillors for supporting this, and absolutely echo Tony's words, a really strong partnership effort. We could not have done this in the city without everybody pulling behind it, and it's definitely not about me. It's about everybody in the city doing this. So thank you for that. Joe, just one thing that might be of interest. In 1959, when we did mass TB screening in the city, it took 18 months of planning to get to the point where we rolled that out. We have done this in 3 weeks, and I think it's a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely, you're right to point that out, and it demonstrates the hard work and, you know, the detail, the attention to detail that we've put in. You know, yes, of course, we with the logistical exercise this big, we will get one or two things wrong. You know, and people are saying to me now, well, you know, some of the centres aren't as busy. Well, that's because we had the surge at the beginning, and rightly so. And now we've got to try to get and encourage people to actually make sure that they get tested a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time during the period that we've got the mass testing opportunity available to us. And given that that's going to be, you know, hopefully till March, we hope that people will continue to get tested, because it's that, as I keep saying, which is going to help us break the chain. Okay, well, I don't know whether any members want to make any comments before. I can't see any hands up, so that's fine. So thanks everybody for attending today, members of the public, and thank you all for attending, and thank you for your support. Okay, so I think if the cabinet members are going to